Back, everybody, to another episode of Porch Talk. This is episode 5 on our Boys Join The Porch series. We have Thomas Burniston back again and Logan Cantrell, and we're going to have Rusty. Oh, he's got the shirt for it, too. We'll have Rusty join later if he's able to get some time. This episode is brought to you by Wyatt pole holders. If you have fishing poles that you would like to display safely on the wall or just need a way to get them off the floor, Wyatt pole holders has what you need. Sold on Etsy, he has a nice selection of fishing racks to fit your needs. Pine, oak, and poplar, just some of the wood used to craft these beautiful racks. Engravings are also available upon request. I have his cutting board here that he made for me. Just different wood he mashed together, and he has engravings. If I can find it down here. So he's trying to do that on picture frames as well. He's going to try to get some of those out. When we get some pictures ready, I'll try to share them. And our other sponsor is Cantrell Holdings, LLC. If you live in Southwest Virginia, Southern West Virginia, or Eastern Kentucky and find yourself looking for equipment rental, give Cantrell Holding Equipment Rentals a call at 276-596-3078. The excavators, backhoe loaders, and jackhammers available. Cantrell Holdings Equipment Rentals has equipment for any job, big or small. Be sure to give their Facebook page a like and follow to learn more about their equipment rentals or options, including their operator services. Again, 276-596-3078, Cantrell Holdings. And the owner of Cantrell Holdings we have here tonight as well. So how's business been going, Logan?
Been going good, man. We're staying busy. I wanted to tell everybody at the start before everybody checks out whenever Rusty gets on. Tomorrow, Main Street in Tazewell, they're doing their trunk or treat. Will be set up there, giving out treat bags. We've got 1,300 treat bags made over the last. Took us doing it evenings and stuff. It's taken like the last 3 weeks to do all that.
Izzy's been working hard.
Yeah, she has. We'll have Blippi there.
Oh,
not the real
sold.
Blippi, but a version of Blippi. Great value Blippi, if you will. And if you take a picture with Blippi and you post it on Facebook and tag us in it, you'll be entered for a gift bag of some sort or a goodie bag or something. I'm not sure what the boss has concocted up on that, but I just wanted to let everybody know that before we get started.
Awesome. So is it going to be a surprise if it's you dressed up as Blippi?
It's not me.
Well, I'm out.
I couldn't do that to myself.
Oh, man. Well, we're going to try out something new. We mentioned doing a few different segments and stuff, and going forward, we're going to try out some more stuff. So anybody that's listening to this or watching it, please give us some feedback on what you like and see if we can get something kind of steady. If you like one of the segments more than the other, then we'll just keep doing it. We're going to try our buy or sell segment. It's the first time we're doing this. We're going to do a college edition to where I read off a statement. I'll tell you if I buy or sell it, and we'll go to each person. These topics, I kind of just feel like they're kind of relative to the big storylines that's going on in college football right now. And we'll try to hit on them, and then we're going to try to touch on a few things in the NFL. As far as the trade deadline and maybe some of our top teams in the AFC and the NFC. So right now in our buy or sell segment, I'm going to start off with our first one. Michigan sign stealing isn't a big deal. Buy or sell. What do you think on that one, Logan?
I mean, should you do that? No, probably not. Yeah. I mean, I'm selling that.
Selling it?
Yeah, that's not. I mean, they're better than everybody, anyways. What's it matter?
I mean,
let them do whatever they want to do. The Patriots got away with it. Why can't Michigan?
I mean, that's true. I'll go ahead and tell you, I'm buying it. That it isn't a big deal, and I do think it's a little weird that you've got people going to all these games and recording it. I don't really like that they're recording it as much.
Right.
But for me, the way I look at it is, I feel like when they first started doing sign like signs and stuff like that with their hands, you had to know that people could potentially see it.
Yeah.
And so if you're doing that and it's out there, I think it's fair game.
Right.
That's just me. And I know the rule was the rule is now that you can look at the signs the day of the game. So if the game's going on, you're fine if you're stealing signs and figuring them out. But the rule changed in 1994 where you can't steal them prior to game day, which I think is just weird that you have it all set up like that.
Right.
So I'm buying that it's not a big deal. I do think that's unfortunate for Michigan because if they if they go as far as laying down the hammer on them this year, I think it could probably keep them out of the playoffs. I'm not sure how you could do it in season suspension like that, but if you confirm that they're stealing signs and it's that big of a deal to the NCAA, I don't see them letting them into the playoffs. If that makes sense, I don't know. It's a weird. It's going to be a weird situation if that ends up turning into a really bad, result consequences wise. What do you think about it, Thomas?
Personally, I'm going to say I'm buying it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But what worries me about it in the bigger picture is I think the NCAA maybe after Harbaugh a little bit. There was that self-inflicted 3-game suspension that he did earlier.
Yeah.
So I feel like he's kind of been on their radar, and I think there was another issue. I can't remember what it was in the last couple of years, but I think I could see them using this as their chance to go after Harbaugh and really lay the hammer down. They may have, I could even see it being that they have this kind of evidence on the other schools, but they're targeting Harbaugh for this reason so that they can lay down some kind of punishment. I hope that they wouldn't, because it wouldn't punish Harbaugh at all. It would just be the players.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. Which, I feel the same way about counting cards. If you're smart enough to count cards, you've done more work. You've done more work than everybody else at the table, so you deserve the winnings.
I agree with that.
So it's kind of it sounds like they sound pretty smart to me, but I don't think it's a big deal. I think there's probably a lot of things that people are doing that they are not supposed to do. But
yeah, I seen a story today. I don't know if it's true. I say y'all probably saw it too, but it said that Ohio State last year after the Michigan-Ohio State game actually knew, or I guess figured out, that Michigan was stealing their signs. So they let TCU know about it. And TCU, before the game, had decided they were still going to do all the same signs, the motions, the ear wiggle, whatever they got to do. But they changed the plays that was associated with the signs. And that was a big reason why they ended up having a good game against Michigan. I think they scored 41 points maybe. I don't know if that's true, but that's, to me, is kind of funny. I'm sure that just adds to the hate between Michigan and Ohio State. But I did see you mentioned Jim Harbaugh, and I think everybody thinks, okay, if this goes bad, that he's going to the NFL. And I can see that because he does hate the NCAA like a lot of us do. But they said, I think it was yesterday I read that the NCAA might try to carry that suspension into the NFL. But I also read in the comments, everybody's like, they don't have the power to do that.
Right.
So,
unless he wanted to do another self-imposed suspension.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Because that was so stern.
Yeah, it looks like if they want to do something, it's going to be another Pete Carroll situation. USC got in trouble, and then Pete Carroll's like, all right, see you guys.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah, sorry, Reggie. Sorry, Reggie, about your trophy.
He needs to go back to the NFL, though. Just leave Michigan alone.
Yeah.
I feel like if they don't win it this year, I don't think he's going to do it.
Oh yeah.
And just when he came there, I thought, maybe. He's going to improve that team. But I just don't think you're going to do it in Michigan, especially now.
Yeah, I think they got a great team. I had them win the championship at the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
but I think his goal is a Super Bowl. When you get there and you taste it, you almost have it. I feel like that just leaves a hole. We all three know. Yeah, we all three know as fans how it feels. So I'm sure it's a lot worse for a coach.
Couldn't be.
I don't
not
think
be.
he is.
I don't know.
You think he cares about the 49ers right now?
I'm
Yeah.
sure he hates them right now.
Well.
But I'm just saying, as a like for him personally, like he's like, I wish I would have had that one. I feel like, but I mean, I think he'll be a good candidate for any NFL team. There was one more thing I was going to mention associated with that, but I can't remember it. Anyway, I'll go to the second one. Yeah. I thought this one was a little bit interesting. I just randomly thought of this today. I was watching some highlights on Jaden Daniels, and everybody knows right now that he is, I think, maybe the front runner for the Heisman. I think the last I looked, as far as the odds go, this year so far, he's got 25 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He's him and Neighbors is one of the best quarterback wide receiver combos in college football right now. It got me thinking, though. I think everybody knows the best quarterback ever at LSU is Joe Burrow.
Who?
Everybody knows that. Hey, listen, you're going to you're going to get
guy.
Thomas
Yeah.
upset.
Yeah, I got you.
But I thought about it. I was like, could Jaden Daniels, especially if he goes on to win the Heisman this year, be the second best quarterback ever at LSU? You don't think so? So I looked it up, and the only one that's in the ballpark, really. I mean, to get outside of like system quarterbacks, because you had like your Mettenberg and some of those guys.
Yeah.
I think Mettenberg won a championship. But besides that, you have Jamarcus Russell, and Jamarcus Russell, his senior year, or junior year, but his last year in college, ended up having 28 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. He had 3,129 yards and eventually went to be the number 1 NFL pick and probably the number 1 NFL bust ever. But, excluding all the NFL stuff, Jaden Daniels this year already has 2,500 yards and 25-3 touchdown interception ratio. And, he had 17 touchdowns and 3 interceptions last year. He beat Alabama last year, has a chance to beat Alabama again this week. And if he wins the Heisman, I know it was only 2 years that he's played at LSU, but I think that could get him up there. I think second best ever at LSU. I'm buying it. Because you look, Joe Burrow had the best college season maybe ever at LSU the year before he left, and we judge him being the number 1 quarterback ever at LSU based on pretty much that 1 year. So I think you kind of almost do that with Jaden Daniels. Now, he's not going to go on and win a national championship or anything like that, but still, when you compare him against Jamarcus Russell or Mettenberg, I think you had a Y.A. Tittle back in the day, ended up being a Hall of Famer in the NFL, but I have him my second best. What do you think, Thomas?
I think my initial thought was that I was selling it
at first.
I think I underestimated the lack of good quarterbacks that have gone through LSU.
Yeah,
because I was trying to do a quick search to find other ones. I still think when I think back to when Jamarcus Russell was coming out, I still feel like he was a really big deal. Like he was a real superstar.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. You mentioned the passing stats. I'm not sure how they would measure up as far as rushing goes. But I don't know. It's definitely a more quarterback heavy game these days. I guess I'd probably buy it because, like you said, the stats support it, and there's not stiff competition. But I think it's hard for me to think of it that way. Also, when LSU isn't we're not talking about them with the Ohio States and Georgia and Michigan.
Yeah, not this year for sure.
They're not really up there right now. Like if he's not going to put him in championship contention, I don't know. It's hard for me to consider him one of the best in such a good program's history.
Yeah, I will say that.
So overall, I guess I'll sell it. I think just short period of time. Jamarcus Russell was really good in his day.
Exactly.
Yeah, lack of championship contention. Yeah, I'd say I'd sell it.
I did want to say before you go on, I did forget that we also had Matt Flynn as well. That was there. So I didn't
Yeah,
want
he had that one really good game for the Packers that got him that great
He
contract.
got paid.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
It's highway robbery.
Yeah, and he won a national championship against Ohio State in 07. So
Right.
Did Russell win a national championship?
So I thought he did, but I didn't think he did, but he ended up having a pretty good year that year. He was overall he had 6,704 yards in his career at LSU. I think he ended up being the second highest. But as far as national titles or anything like that, he didn't have. But Flynn did. He won national championship, and he had about 2,600 yards and 21 touchdowns for his senior year.
I think I'm gonna sell it. Maybe he's third, but like kind of like Thomas said, I think you have to give it to Russell just for, he was the number one pick, regardless of what happened after he got picked number one. I mean, that's irrelevant in this discussion, but I mean, he was the number one pick. All the hype, it kind of seemed like he was a pretty sure thing. For him not to. I mean, obviously we know Daniels is not going to be the number one pick.
No.
So yeah, I think I would probably put Jamarcus at 2 and then
2.
Daniels at 3.
If
I think that's fair.
Daniels wins the Heisman this year, would you change it?
I don't think I would.
I don't think so.
No. I think he'd only be the second quarterback, I believe, to win it from there. But it'd be behind, of course, Burrow. Yeah.
Cheers.
Okay, cheers. Oh, okay. So, our third one, and I mentioned this earlier in our group chat. So y'all, this is the only one that I think I did mention that y'all probably are kind of ready for, as far as knowing ahead of time. But
nope.
It's Ohio State's defense will win them a national championship, buy or sell. So I think I'm buying into it. I didn't before, but I think resume wise, who they played, I'm there. Last week, Penn State went 1 of 16 on third down conversions. They were 6.3% with a minimum of 15 third down attempts. That is the worst third down completion percentage or conversion percentage by an AP ranked team in a game over the last 10 years.
Wow.
Right now, they are second in points per game allowed at 10 and fourth in yards per game allowed. So right now, where I'm at with that is resume-wise, they played Sam Hartman, Notre Dame. I think they held them to below 20. And then I know Penn State probably didn't have the quarterback like Hartman or whatever, but they still had talent. I mean, I think they are a top 10 team, and I mean, just that sat there kind of tells about how that game went. It was a defensive showcase for what they had. They got a lot of guys probably going to the NFL. For me, secondary wise, I think were for a long time the best secondary in college by the numbers. So for me, I look at it like this. I'm not really thinking about Michigan because I don't know what is going to go on there. But you got Georgia, then you got Georgia, and you have Texas that might get back up there. You got Oregon might get back up there. You got Washington up there. I feel like the Ohio State kind of matches up with them a lot, or most of those teams pretty good. I think their defense can shut down any of those offenses, or at least contain it. And I think the playmakers on offense will give them opportunities to win the game. It's just if McCord can't hurt them, if he hurts them, then those a few picks and they might be in a bad spot. But so far, he's not shown that he's going to do that. So I'm buying it. I guess so far I've bought every one of them, but
you can't hide money.
It's like you're making the questions.
Yeah. I guess that's part of making the questions. But what do you think, Thomas?
Yeah. So, to your point about McCord, I'm actually not as low on McCord as I was initially. Honestly, he hasn't done anything really wrong. When I look at their season so far, he's played pretty well. I can't complain about him that much, which he's throwing to the best wide receiver in college football, but which certainly helps. Yeah,
definitely helps.
But I would say I would buy it that can win them a championship. I personally don't think Ohio State's going to win the championship. I don't think they would be able to hold like Oregon's offense to this, or Washington's offense. I don't know, Oregon's offense to the same that they held Notre Dame. I think there are a couple teams better, because I think there are teams like Michigan that their defense is as good and then their offense is significantly better, or I trust more. So I don't personally think they're going to win the championship, but I would have to say that I buy that it definitely could. I mean, Sam Hartman and Notre Dame have a great offense. They put up 60 and 50 and 40 like pretty much every week, it seems. So, and they held them to what, 14 or
it's below 20.
14, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I would definitely say it could. It's a great defense. Penn State, their offense was not. It's not a powerhouse offense. Like, they run the ball and they slow the game down. So I wouldn't expect them to go crazy, but they did a phenomenal job against them. So yeah, I would have to say I'd buy it, that it could. I just don't personally think that they'll win.
I'm going to say yes, they can. I don't think it'll happen, but I do think, I think they're good enough to do it. So I looked it up. The highest point total that they've given up all year was 17 to Maryland.
I was going to say, I don't think it was even a...
they held Notre Dame to 14.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to pretend like they're playing some offensive juggernauts either.
Yeah.
Right.
You got Purdue. Penn State doesn't have like an explosive offense. Yeah. Wisconsin or Rutgers.
That's this week, I think.
Next week, yeah. I mean, Michigan State might not score.
No, Michigan State.
It had nothing to do with Ohio State.
Yeah.
Minnesota. But the season will come down to November 25th whenever they play Michigan. If they win that game, then their defense very well could. So we just have to wait and see. But yeah, I would say I would buy that. I think it could.
So our fourth buy or sell that we have, this one's a little different. This one might get y'all kind of thinking a little bit. I should kind of listen down some people that I guess can get us started. But the buy or sell is Texas A&M should fire Jimbo Fisher, and if you do buy it, who would you hire to replace him? So some of the ones that I have seen, and the one I'm going with is not really listed on a lot of people, so it's kind of out of left field. And so you all can do the same thing if you can think of one, or you can go with one of these. But of course, top name is Deion Sanders. That's the one. I mean, that's going to be it for every job because everybody's going to want him. But also Duke's coach Mike Elko, who's done a great job there.
Mm-hmm.
Urban Meyer, of course, is another one. Texas A&M right now, I think I looked on there earlier today, and it said that they're a top 10 program for coaches to go to in the whole country. And I could see that, the money they got rolling in with their boosters and stuff, and it's in the SEC. But the coach I'm going with is Coach Gundy from Oklahoma State. I feel like that, he played Oklahoma State, and it's kind of where he's settled in. He's been there since 2005. And I think that he's got a strong connection to there. So I'm not sure that he would leave. But there's some coaches that you think that, man, that's a great coach, but their time might have ran out there. Not because they've started sucking or anything. It's just, I think he's done all he could there at Oklahoma State. He brings a high-powered offense, and he's had a lot of really good teams. So his career record's 162 and 77. I think it's a 6.78 win percentage. He has won Coach of the Year before. Something that I didn't know until I'd done a little bit of research. He's got 11 career bowl game wins, which is top 10 all time, behind guys like Paterno, Bowden, Saban, Bear Bryant, Mac Brown, Holtz. He's ninth, just behind Tom Osborne. So I think he's somebody that would bring a lot of excitement to Texas A&M, and I think he's a I mean, he's one of my favorite coaches. So maybe I'm just biased.
Yeah.
But I think he can recruit real well, bring the offense there, bring some excitement there. I think that's a pick that everybody would love from Texas A&M, and it's kind of out of left field. But that's my pick. Logan, what are you going with?
I mean, I don't.
Or if you buy it, you know.
I don't think I would give up on Jimbo just yet, especially with the way the game is now with the transfer portal and the NILs and all that. I mean, he could flip,
Yeah.
easy. But if you do want to move on, I'll take the coach from Duke. I think he's probably earned the shot. He's probably the next guy up. He might, he very well could end up being one of these guys that overachieves at a school he's not supposed to win at, and then he gets a big boy job and can't hack it. But I think I would probably give him a shot next.
Mike Elko. Name, he's done great ever since he's got there.
Mm-hmm.
What are you rolling with, Thomas?
Yeah, I'm selling on firing Jimbo. I don't think they should give up on him yet. From what it seems like, I think the players like him. I think he's proved himself as a college football coach. He's not my favorite, but I think he's a solid coach. And it takes a few years. If you're not going to, I think, Alabama or LSU, like one of those top programs, I think you can't win in the SEC your first year or two. Like you have to get established. How long has Jimbo been there? Like 3?
I think he's been there
a while.
Yeah.
I still think he's just too good to send down the road.
Yeah.
Especially, you never know what. I think it's a lot easier to get a coach in there that's worse than Jimbo than it is that's better than Jimbo.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, and I would go a different route than you guys went with. If they do fire Jimbo, I think we would see something. I don't know, SEC teams. It's like keeping up with the Joneses. I think it's like, I think they go after a name. I think it'd be like somebody like Dion, which I'm not sure. I'm actually not sure Dion would take it. I know he's looking to move up, but I'm not sure if that would be the best move for him, because you wouldn't be going to like I don't know, like I don't think he would really be upgrading as much as he would like to go into such a difficult division. But I think it'd be somebody like Dion, big name, like I don't know, Chip Kelly or something. Yeah, so Coach O, that'd be awesome. Actually, he deserves a shot. But yeah, I think I just don't see, like, it seems like an SEC team. I think they'd go after a big name.
They're going to have
if
the money
they moved on, which I don't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think they'll move on. I don't think they should move on. But if they do, I think they go after a big name. I don't think they would go after like a young guy that's been working his way up the ranks yet.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you saying that they're you said you saw that they were listed as a top 10 team or
top 10 program.
Yeah,
as
I
far
could
as
see
that
that
job.
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see that too.
Yeah.
I mean, Alabama, Georgia, LSU,
Auburn, I think would be up there.
Florida State.
Yeah.
Miami.
I don't know about Miami anymore.
Clemson. Texas, for sure.
Texas, yeah. Notre Dame.
Ohio State, Michigan, probably.
Yeah.
Actually, it's probably right there around 10.
Yeah, it'd be around there. I mean, the money that the boosters bring in is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why he's such on a hot seat right now, because of the money they spent on him.
Yeah.
And he's been there 6 years, by the way.
Yeah, that's longer. That is longer than I thought.
Yeah.
I was thinking it's just a few years ago.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason is the money they've spent on him, but also they've had some of the best recruiting classes. I think that one, not this year's, but last year's, was one of the best ever.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's the one. Yeah. I think another coach like Saban, right? Didn't he say something about buying players, like because their recruiting class was so good? Mm-hmm. So I think when you're looking at that, like obviously Jimbo, you're not going to beat Jimbo at recruiting.
No,
moving on probably.
But it almost seems like a far distant memory when Jimbo and Nick was going at each other.
Right. Yeah.
Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah, because that's when they had
It
the
was like the first NIL year, I think.
Okay.
yeah. Well,
that
it
was
was
hilarious.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, it wasn't yeah, it was the off season before last football season.
Didn't Bama smack them that year too?
No, that's actually the year that A&M won, wasn't it? Oh no, it wasn't.
I don't think so.
I can't remember. A&M won 2 years ago, and then they almost beat Alabama last year, and they lost at the main end. But
I think if I were in the position like the athletic director or whatever that makes these decisions, I would look at it like I would almost look at NIL as like a fresh slate for somebody like Jimbo Fisher. Like that kind of really changed their recruiting probably a lot. And I would say like give Jimbo a chance to grow the players that he brought in using his abilities through NIL and everything. Give him like the 3 to 4 years with those guys. So if maybe in 2 years, if Texas A&M is still finishing like barely above 500 or 7-5, 8-4, like it's time to move on. But at this point, I'd keep him. Well,
like I said the same thing last year about the Steelers, and whenever you had a lot of Steelers fans trying to ship Mike out of town, and I mean you can, but I don't think you could very easily find a coach that's worse than what you have.
Yeah,
it's a lot easier to find a coach that's worse than a coach that's better than what you have, and I think it's the same situation here.
Yeah.
Our next buy or sell. So Iowa football, big hot topic this year. This Saturday, their over under is set 29.5 points with Northwestern. That's the lowest over under in the history of college football. So my buy or sell for them is Iowa football will be a top 10 program if they can hire the right OC. Buy or sell. I had a real hard time with this one. I didn't really stop and think about what I would decide on too much because I just saw that and I was like, I have to throw that in there somewhere. And their points per game allowed this year is 6. So they got good defense, and that's with them being on the field the whole game.
Yeah.
So I hate to buy again because I've bought a lot. I'm running out of money, I think. So, but I'm gonna buy.
We call that optimism. I'm just a happy person.
Glass half full.
You see the best in people.
Yeah. Can't relate.
I'm gonna buy. Listen, because a few years ago, it might not have been a few years ago, but it wasn't too long ago. They were a top 10 team playing in the Rose Bowl maybe or the Sugar Bowl. They were up there. That's when Desmond King, I think the DB from the Chargers, or if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if he's still there, but that's when he was playing. I think he was even mentioned in Heisman talks. I don't know if I know he didn't go to New York, but he was up there. So I think it's possible. I think you're going to have to find somewhere. You're going to have to find an offense that I wouldn't completely sell out on trying to be like air raid or try to.
Yes, you would.
I love the air raid, but for them, I'm just not sure that that's going to work. But you're going to have somebody, one, that can recruit offensive guys, and two, have a system to where you can put up more than 20 points a game. If they can do that, and I feel like that would be an appealing job. It's a Big Ten school. The defense is going to be right. So if you're an OC that's pretty good, you're probably going to have a high asking price because you know how desperate they are for you. But I feel like it'd be a good place to go to. So I'm buying it.
All right.
I just can't get behind that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm selling that.
I think. What was it? I bet on it last week. The over under was something like stupid. It was like 33 points.
Yeah, it was around 30. Yeah,
and I saw that and I just laughed. I was like, "There's no way!" And I bet on the under just because, and it hit. But you're telling me that you think they could be a top? What'd you say? A top?
He said top 10.
No 10. Chance, Cameron.
Top 10.
Top 10 points.
Top 10 is where you lose me.
If they picked up on their offensive game.
I'm selling that for less than $29. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm selling that as well.
You're too
If you would have
optimistic.
said like
Yeah.
top 20, I might could have gotten behind
Yeah.
you. You gave a compelling speech,
Yeah.
but
I
top
don't think
10,
so.
I mean, we're looking at like you're looking at knocking out somebody like Oklahoma, Oregon, like I
Okay.
don't
Well.
Dominant
think
Cameron.
Okay.
like if they're like offensive coordinator can go only so far when you're looking at scoring 10 points a game. Like
Yeah. Well, I mean, in this world where I'm buying it, I'm assuming that they're
giving them all
score
new
like
offensive players too.
they got a steady offense. That
Right.
they're actually not bottom 15, bottom 20. Uh, they're actually putting up numbers on offense with their defense. I mean, I think you have Ohio State, you have Alabama, you have Georgia, you have, and I'm thinking about consistency over the years as well. I mean, Texas had a good year this year, but are they top 10 every year? I mean, it's the first year they've really been
In a
up there
long
in a
time.
while. Penn State, you have
Michigan.
Michigan. So that's 6. I don't want to say Notre Dame because they've lost 2 or 3 every year. You can't put Clemson up there right now because they're kind of iffy. You can't put Florida State up there yet because they have this year. But and I agree that Iowa has not been up there either, but their defense has been consistently every single year. So for me, I'd probably have like 9 or 10. I think they can make it if their defense was what it is now, and you had an offensive coordinator that can score. I mean, that might be the hot take of the night. But
All right, Skip.
I'm
That's
taking
enough.
it.
Maybe.
Next one.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey.
I think you're naming teams that have been pretty relevant. Like I've had
I mean, they've
top
been
10 recruiting
relevant.
classes,
But,
like top 10 recruiting classes for the last 10 years. Championship, like Clemson. Like this is Clemson's first down year in
yeah.
15 years. Like, I don't think we're moving one of those teams out.
Just
Iowa's
because you
defense,
love
Iowa's
a
defense
good
has been good
underdog.
recently. But
Yeah.
I don't think Iowa's been playing the offenses that some of those other teams you mentioned have either.
Listen, I'm too settled in now. I can't back
that's
out
fine.
of it.
Hey,
So.
No, I don't want you to back out.
10 toes down, baby. Stand there all day.
All right. So the last buy or sell that I got, and I would have never thought of this, but I think I was watching Cover 6 podcast today. I don't know if y'all watch it. But they had a clip that was out, and a pretty interesting argument for this. But it's Marvin Harrison Jr. with a Heisman and a national title this year. If he wins both of those, would make him the greatest college receiver ever, buy or sell. So I thought about that, and so I'll throw out a few names when it comes to like Bleacher Report's ranking of the top receivers. Now, of course, they don't include Marvin Harrison Jr. It's not even before that. But you have
right before selling. I want to put mine out there before you give me
I
your
wonder who
speech.
you're going to say
I'm
is.
selling.
Okay. Well, you have Randy Moss out there. He's one of them. Randy, he had one of the better collegiate careers ever by a receiver. He had 78 passes caught for 1,700 yards and 28 touchdowns. And that was just the one season he had at FBS competition. But, I mean, he played at Marshall. So, okay, you can make an argument maybe for competition, whatever.
Okay, so before you go on, how many receivers have won the Heisman?
I'm actually getting to that. That's actually in this as well.
That's the list that we need to hear. So
2. 2 or 3.
Devontae?
I'm actually going to. Yeah. Who?
Devontae Smith?
Yeah,
right?
he's one of them.
Desmond Howard, was he
was another.
2 receiver?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the 2. So our second one, I'm actually going to get to Desmond. He's in there. Calvin Johnson, of course, is up there. And, the 3 seasons they have at Georgia Tech, he had 178 receptions, almost 3,000 yards receiving, 28 touchdowns. He was All-American, ACC Player of the Year, won the Blitnikoff Award. Georgia Tech never really got to play or national championship or anything like that. But you also got to consider that this is during the Paul Johnson days where they ran the wing T. So, or whatever it is they run, triple option, double
Waggle's
option.
the best player in football.
Yeah, and maybe that's what they ran with Calvin. I'm not sure.
Sure.
But then you also have Desmond Howard, who, I mean, he was everything. He could return the ball. I mean, he wasn't just a receiver, but he did have in 3 seasons 134 catches, 2,100 yards, and 37 all-purpose touchdowns. And he is one of 2 receivers that's ever won the Heisman. Just to close it out here, the last 2 that I did have is Larry Fitzgerald and Michael Crabtree. Larry Fitzgerald played for Pitt. He had some great seasons. His sophomore year, he had 1,600 yards, 22 touchdowns. And he also was the first Pitt player ever to put consecutive 1,000-plus yard receiving seasons. But he didn't win the Heisman, but he's the only receiver that had finished in the top 3 in Heisman voting, I guess, since Desmond Howard. Which, of course, has changed now since you also had Devontae Smith win. So, I guess, yeah, that makes sense. So, there might have been one more because this might have been out before then. But nevertheless, you have Fitzgerald and you also have Michael Crabtree. And Crabtree was there during the Michael Leach days. So, the air raid was big. Graham Harrell was there putting up numbers. He ended up setting, as a freshman, set NCAA records, single-season records for receptions, yards, and touchdowns at that time. And he had almost 2,000 yards receiving and 22 touchdowns. And, the following year, he had 97 catches, 1,100 yards, about 20 touchdowns. He won the Blitnikoff Award twice. He was one, like at that time, he was like the best receiver. And then you also have Devontae Smith, who I didn't pull up stats on, but everybody knows what he did. He also won the Heisman. So I'm selling right now. I think it's hard for me to even pick a one. And I didn't even mention Jamar Chase, and I'm sure that you might mention him. I don't know if that's one of the ones you might think of, but I don't know what he ended
I'm sure he thought about him, Cameron.
Yeah. So
he's got a Bengals logo on his chest.
Yeah. I think I'm going to sell. I'm not even sure who I would have at number 1 yet. I think that I'm really stuck between Randy Moss and Calvin Johnson. Randy Moss is like up there with me thinking talent-wise he's the best ever in college.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best ever in NFL as well. I think you have an argument as far as competition and stuff goes, but I think he would probably do the same thing if he was on Alabama or any of those other teams.
The Patriots.
We would have known, but I think didn't he get in trouble for smoking pot or something?
I think he got in trouble a lot. I think a few different things.
Dumb.
Yeah, and then the other one, Calvin,
team with him on it.
That would have been scary.
I mean, that's
it's already
dumb.
scary.
That's dumb.
Yeah. And then Calvin, I mean, to play in that offense and put up those numbers is crazy because that offense is not very pass happy at all. And I mean, look at Georgia Tech under Paul Johnson. I don't think I guess you had Demaryius Thomas. That was pretty good there as well.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know any other receiver from there. So I'm selling.
Okay, so what was the original question? Is this career or just like greatest to do it?
Yeah, so what it is, if he wins a Heisman and national title this year, would you make him the greatest college receiver ever? You can judge that off a single season if you want, because, I mean, we do with Burrow. But, I mean, you have to look at what he's done in college.
I'm buying it. I'm going to go Cameron. I'm buying it.
Buying the one time I sell.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I pulled up his numbers. So, right now he's sitting at like a little over 2,000 yards, 25 touchdowns. He's probably going to get 2,500 yards or so. He'll have a couple more touchdowns. If you take into how dominant he was last year, and I mean, around the same pace this year. I mean, if Ohio State's defense wins them a championship and then he also wins the Heisman, give it to him. I mean,
yeah.
I hate to, I don't want to be disrespectful to Randy and all the other greats before him, but I mean, there's only been 3 receivers to win the Heisman anyway, so that's a pretty big accomplishment for a receiver. Just there.
Yeah, I mean,
he's going to be. I mean, he's definitely a top 5 pick. He's probably, if the Panthers don't get it together, he's going to be the 2nd pick at least.
Yeah.
So
a 2nd pick anyway.
Right.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
I mean, it'll
much of a
probably be
second.
2 quarterbacks and then him. But yeah, if the Panthers
Yeah.
if the Bears end up with 1 and 2, then yeah, he'll definitely be in the top 2.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to sell it, and it's mostly because I don't value the accolades all that much. I don't know. I don't like the Heisman voting. I don't think they do a good job at representing the most talented or the best seasons in football each year. Like value to the team and just pure dominance. Calvin Johnson was one that came to my mind that I can't imagine people being better than him or Randy Moss. Looking back in like their college careers, Calvin Johnson more so than Randy Moss, just because I guess because of the competition and he was in a bigger program and everything. But I just remember like I don't know when I look back, and a part of it like not only is the accolades. I don't think the Heisman voting is that great, but also the age we live in, like highlights. When I look back, like when I'm looking at the best receivers of all time in college, like Calvin Johnson's highlights are absurd. It was one of those where you knew he was going to come down with the ball no matter what. Randy Moss the same. Just they look like different like species out there, and I don't really get that with Marvin Harrison. I mean, he's definitely good. Don't get me wrong, and he was my pick for the Heisman. I really liked when Jamar picked him in the first ever Porch Talk episode. But
Throwback.
I do really respect Marvin Harrison, but I just don't look at him the way I did as dominating, like overwhelmingly talented, like I did a few of those other players. And then I also think like Chase put up pretty amazing numbers, and he was on a team with Justin Jefferson and Thad Moss too. So I know I would sell it
And
just because I don't.
Jr.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah.
Sorry.
Which,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to derail you there.
Which a lot of people may disagree about, like the Heisman take. Like I just don't. I know it's very valuable and it's very hard to win, but I just don't think. Like I just don't think they get it right 100% of the time. Like
I think you talk about just watching the kind of the eye test in a way with Marvin Harrison Jr. Physically, like okay, Calvin Johnson's 1 of 1, but I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is like a sneaky athletic guy. Like he's so smooth that I think his athletic ability is overlooked a lot. Like he's not necessarily.
he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have an argument there because he is. It's kind of like he doesn't have to make the big plays because he's always open. And like, how's he getting open every time? Yeah. I'm arguing against myself now, but
yeah. I mean, he's had some great contested catches though. That one where he caught it and he bended his leg and kept it in bounds or whatever. I think it was last year. But it's just, I don't know, it's like quietly done. Like I don't know. It's not like one of those where he mosses somebody, but he's able to just complete those catches, and it seems effortless. I guess is what I'm saying.
It just makes it look easy.
And what I'm saying about the Heisman is, it's like we're having this conversation and we're talking about him maybe being better than Calvin Johnson or Randy Moss. The Heisman doesn't change that for me because we're not talking about Desmond Howard or Devontae Smith right now. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Like so, like when we look back at the best wide receivers, we're not talking about Devontae Smith and Desmond Howard, even though they're the two that won the Heisman. So I don't think Marvin Harrison winning the Heisman really changes it for me.
I wouldn't. I want to mention because I did go back and look because I kept thinking. I said, was it 2, 3? It's actually been 4 receivers.
Who's the other?
So it's Desmond Howard, Devontae Smith. Then you also have Johnny Rogers, Nebraska in 72. This just tells you how things have changed since then. He had 58 catches and 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. And he did have 73 carries for 348 yards and 10 touchdowns running. So
that's what Marvin has right now.
The
same numbers Marvin has right now with like 5 games left.
Yeah. And then you also had Tim Brown from Notre Dame that won it. And he had 39 catches for 846 yards and 3 touchdowns. He added 34 rushes with 144 yards and a touchdown. He was a big returner as well. He had 857 yards returning the ball between kicks and punts and included 3 touchdowns. So, I mean, even with that, the receiving numbers wise, He had 39 catches at 846 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's like the first 3 games or 4 games from Marvin Harrison Jr. So, but that's just a sign of how things have changed since then as well. I mean, it's hard for me to really compare them. I think that there's a lot of things you got to factor in because like I said, with Calvin Johnson, the offense he was in, and then you look at Randy. I'm sure that every team that he played doubled him, and Jamar Chase, you couldn't really or even with Devontae Smith, or even now with Marvin Harrison Jr., you can't double those guys because then you leave somebody else wide open that's also just as good. Well, maybe not just as good, but still good enough to be like Justin Jefferson, best receiver in football right now.
Yeah,
and
I'd also like to throw out the name Justin Blackman in case anybody forgot.
Yeah, I saw him on there as well.
Yeah, he was really good.
He was really good.
And that was one of Coach Gundy's best Oklahoma State teams.
Yeah, did not pan out in the NFL, unfortunately. But
Corey Davis is another one that put up huge numbers in college. I think he had maybe the record for receptions or something like that in career. And I mean, he did all right for a second in the NFL, but Regina's making an appearance.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're gonna pick this nice shirt I got on.
The ACC just dropped its future football schedule for the next 2 seasons.
Yeah, I saw that.
Breaking news here on the Talking Tigers podcast.
That is the new Ivy League, I think, in college football. You got UVA, of course. It's really high on academics. You got if you count, I don't know if you're going to count Notre Dame in there.
No,
because like in basketball you do, but like it's weird. But then you're going to have Cal, who's huge in academics. Stanford as well. So I mean that's and Florida State. Yeah, Florida State and Clemson's probably going to leave. So
they need to change the name of the conference.
Yeah, makes no sense.
Yeah. This is part of the changes. So that kind of concludes our buy or sell. So now we're going to get into some NFL. I think this is what, one of us is really excited to be talking about it. Well, I mean, you might be pretty excited too, Logan. Y'all just come off of a win. So, but there's a reason why I think Thomas suggested this because the Bengals are surging right now.
So, I know y'all saw my story, but I don't believe that guy.
Yeah.
I don't believe that guy for a second yesterday when he told me 11-6 started today.
Hang on. Yeah.
He was so down, man. I mean, I knew as soon as he walked in, he was a Panthers fan. I just had to look on his face. It's like, I hate my life. Why am I watching this?
Oh, man. I mean, Bryce Young looked pretty good.
He's looked fine all year. He's not the problem. We're not doing this. Let's go.
So we're going to try to throw out our top AFC, NFC contenders. We're going to throw out 2, 3 for each side.
Whatever we think. I mean, it's relevant.
I mean, you're just going to do one.
I think there's more in the AFC than are the NFC.
No, I'll talk about more than one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll go with we'll go top 2 on each right now. How about that? I think we can start with the NFC. Go ahead and get this out of the way. Right now, I still have us up there. I put us at 2 now. After the struggles we've had, our defense is looking atrocious. It is, I think it was ranked like 30th over the last 3 weeks in most defensive categories. I don't worry about the offense as much. I know Brock Purdy is struggling, but it's the first year full-time starter. You're going to have growing pains. I think we forget that he is he this is his first year starting a full season. I've gotten used myself to him being almost perfect in that offense. So it is a little disappointing in that way. But I still see positive things with him. But like I said, the defense have to do something. And we're going to try to get to, after this, maybe a segment on who we think we want our teams to target in a trade deadline, and maybe some other things as well involving the trade deadline. But I really think that we need to go after somebody on the edge to add to that pass rush because it's not there. They keep doubling Bosa, and we're not getting pressure. And our secondary isn't holding up. And I think just overall, it's the first time I've seen the head coach turn on a coaching staff. And Kyle Shanahan publicly criticized Wilkes past 2 weeks on things he's done. And this is also the first time we brought in somebody that is an outsider in a way that wasn't with their program to coach. Maybe that's part of it. I know the fan base is kind of turning on him. I'm not ready to give up on him yet. I remember him at Carolina, how much the players loved him. And I think even at San Francisco, I think they love him there. The players do. So I'm hoping he turns it around. We have this happen every year. We go through these droughts, and we're usually better for it. So they're probably my number 2 team right now in the NFC.
There's a lot of negativity for your number 2 team.
You didn't say anything good.
Well, I mean,
I would look to
still
your
have
division. I would look to your division for the second best team in the conference if it was me.
Seahawks.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, go ahead and elaborate on that. We'll go through our second best.
You're on your soapbox. Go ahead. Tell me more about how terrible the 49ers are.
Yeah,
I think they're the second best team in the
I'm just realistic. I'm being realistic about it. I mean, I hope that we turn it around. But I mean, I'm more depressed right now than I am usually over the last few years, because the last few years it was offense that struggled, but I always had hope. Okay, Kyle Shanahan, he'll find a way. Even with Garoppolo or whoever, he can scheme up enough to keep us in a ball game. But the defense was always elite, that we would never be in trouble. It's the opposite now. It's the defense that's hurting us so bad. And the offense, I mean, we have people missing, Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel. We're struggling in the aspect where we just can't outscore people. And with a first-year quarterback, it's a lot to ask of him to do that, to outscore people like that in shootouts. So that's why I'm a little bit more skeptical and worried this year, is because if our defense ain't going to hold up, then we're not going anywhere. I mean, it is what it is. It's been like that the past few years. That's what we hung our hat on. So if it's falling, then we're going to fall. So that's my second best, or a second top contender in the NFC. I guess we can go through our seconds and then the first. But since you already started, Logan, on who your second was, go ahead and elaborate on that.
Well, I mean, I picked them, whenever we did the preview. I guess, what did we do? We previewed the season before it started or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I picked them to, maybe I don't think I picked them to win the division. But I picked them to make the playoffs. And I mean, they're second best record in the conference right now.
Yeah.
Defense is fine. Geno's playing well. They've got weapons. What is the what's the running back's name?
Oh, Kenneth Walker.
Yes, Kenneth Walker. He's not having a great year, is he? Is he kind of down this year compared to what he was last year?
Fantasy-wise, he's having a pretty good year.
Is he?
Yeah.
I was thinking I saw the other day he was having kind of a...
They also just got Leonard Williams today, too, from the Giants. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. See that? I mean, that's just going to make that
front
even better.
Yeah. Especially the rushing games they're going to be playing in that conference.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would put them as number 2 right now. Just kind of because I, called that they would have a good year, and I just want to throw that out there. And I mean, I can't say the 49ers after all the stuff that a super fan just said about them.
I know. Yes, I was ready. I had the Niners queued up and ready to go for my number 2, and now
how am I supposed to back that up?
I did want to tell you that as far as Kenneth Walker goes, yeah, I mean, I guess because fantasy-wise, he's had a decent year because he scored some touchdowns, but there has been some games that he's been under 50 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's been around that 50 to 70 yard range. I guess because I just looked at it based on his fantasy points, like, he's having a great year, but it's just he's getting touchdowns. So
yeah,
but
he was having a great year last year too when I traded for him.
Yeah, he got hurt too, I believe.
Yeah. He did, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Thomas.
My number 2, I mean, when you think about the NFC, Niners, Eagles, Cowboys, Lions, I'm still going with the Niners, despite Cameron's little synopsis there. But no, I'm taking the Niners. I'm not worried about the Niners at all. We're acting like they're out Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams, they're struggling. But like being out Trent Williams is, we're talking about, I mean, arguably the best player in football, or like top 3 to 5 best players in all of football. Like, I mean, that's like saying like, oh, they're out LeBron James. Like, I know the position isn't as important, but like he's that good. I mean, if you put somebody that good on your team and then you remove them, it's a big difference. So I'm not that worried about the 49ers between Kyle Shanahan, Deebo and Trent coming back eventually. I'm not worried about them. I think the first 5 or 4 or 5 weeks of the year, I thought they were the best team in the entire league. So while they were all healthy, which seems to be their biggest problem, but
always,
yeah, like
every year
they face. I mean, I think they lost an aspect with Deebo. They not having Trent is tough. And then I think we just matched up really well this week against you guys. I think they were playing an offense that's rolling now, so they were like they were just like they couldn't run it every time. They couldn't rely on their run game and CMC, and that really hurt them, especially when they didn't have one of their best receiving options. So I'm not worried about the 49ers. I think they're still. I would still almost put them number 1 in the conference, actually, because I'm not crazy high on my number 1, but yeah, I'm still taking 49ers number 2.
You mentioned Burrow having some success against him this past week. Just to put it in, put some numbers to it. Kirk Cousins and Joe Burrow versus our defense past 2 weeks. 67 of 77. Only missed 10 passes between them in 2 weeks. 661 yards, and they had 8.6 yards per attempt.
Wow.
But I think Burrow was 28 for 32 or something like.
Yeah. I mean,
like pretty much no incomplete passes.
Yeah, everybody's been carving us up, and we don't have any injuries on defense. So, I mean, I hate to be the biggest enemy in this podcast to my team,
but you're not.
I'll talk about that later. But
yeah,
I think it's not all of your defensive struggles are not all defense, if that makes sense.
I mean,
I'll talk about that later when I talk about the best team in the league. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you might have a quarterback problem.
I'm not giving up on him.
I think it's a question, yeah.
I think you can ask Thomas that. I know he threw some picks and he had some bonehead plays, but you're going to have that with a young quarterback. But he's also the only reason why that game went 30-something to nothing. So his mobility has been something that's an X factor for him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to Garoppolo, you getting close to him falling over right before you even hit him. Speaking of Garoppolo, he had like 65 yards passing tonight. So
protect them. He's got to protect that moneymaker, man. He's not taking no hits.
Give me GQ.
So I guess we'll go to their number 1 team in the NFC. My number 1 team, as much as it kills me to say this, is the Eagles. You thought I was going to say the Cowboys, didn't you?
Well, I mean, they are a
big rival. I think our other rival right now is the Eagles. Because
fabricated too.
Yeah, well, that one is more fabricated because the players completely fabricated that one. They, I don't say fabricated, but they manifested it because they hate each other. The way that game ended last year. And, when you go into Philly, especially a playoff game and you lose, you're going to hear all kinds of trash talking and stuff. So I'm sure that fueled up some of that. But with that being said, they've done everything that you thought they would going into the year. They played great. I didn't know their defense would hold up quite like it has. I thought they were going to be good, but they've lost some people. They lost Hargraves, who was one of the better D tackles in the league. He went to us, but Jalen Carter's came in and played great. They just traded
Jalen Carter's been really good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then you had, was it Kevin Baird, I think, from the Titans. Long time. Byron, I think, yeah. Long time like Pro Bowl safety from the Titans. They just acquired him. So that just adds to their defense. And then on offense, A.J. Brown's having one of the better years ever by NFL receiver. I think he's had I don't know how many
6
games.
straight.
Yeah,
120.
I was thinking 6 or 7. Yeah. So
It's
you had
great
that
guy to have
weapon
on your
in there.
fantasy team.
Oh, I'd love to have had that on mine.
You could have drafted
Yeah,
him.
man, I should have.
I tried. He got taken like 2 picks before me.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to
Somebody's
make
smart,
this a
I'm sure.
fantasy football podcast because I don't want to cry on air.
Yeah, we definitely don't.
Yeah. So,
I know. Nobody cares about our fantasy team. No.
yeah. What is your fantasy
Yeah.
team right now?
Like I've lost 2 games.
Okay. Well, you can't talk about being sad about fantasy when you got me and Thomas
I'm
over
not.
here.
No, I'm having a good year.
Yeah.
I feel like me and Thomas
Yeah.
The
put
only
a
reason I
lot
even
of
lost 2
heart into
games
this
is
one.
because
Yeah.
my top
Yeah.
the first 3 weeks, my top 4 picks didn't show up.
Didn't show up. Yeah.
The only thing that saved me the first week was the Cowboys defense having like 45 points that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I seem like they've done that a lot this year.
But, yeah, just to keep it brief,
Yeah.
I'm taking the Eagles too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much more to add. Like they're just, I'm actually not. I'm not that high on them. Like I think they're definitely reachable, and I think they could very easily be knocked off before the Super Bowl. But I just think at this point it's hard to argue for any other team. Like their defense has not impressed me. I know that you mentioned some names, but
yeah,
they've allowed quite a few points to some. Like the Commanders scored over 30 on them yesterday.
Sam Howell, baby.
Yeah, I mean they're playing
Yeah,
good.
so I'm not like blown away by them, and I think they've like come back in some games that I think they should have not had to come back in. It should have been easier for them, but they're winning, and they kill people on the ground, they kill people in the air. So it's hard to argue any other way.
I mean, they have the most unstoppable play in football.
Yeah.
It was stopped.
Yeah.
It was stopped yesterday.
Oh, was
He
it?
dropped it. Yeah, he dropped it.
Oh no, never mind.
Well, I mean that probably ain't gonna happen all the time. They didn't stop it; he stopped it.
Yeah,
exactly.
True.
Yeah. Do you have the Eagles too, Logan?
Yeah. There's no point in me echoing what y'all just said.
Yeah. I think the AJ Brown thing it just adds something different because last year, I mean, it was the rushing attack, but I think you add in a bona fide like top target. I mean,
what a phenomenal trade! I mean, just one of the best trades in years.
Yeah, and I'm sure that they hope that Barrett comes in and is just as great coming from Tennessee. That has to be like a sour taste in Tennessee's mouth. Have them go there.
I would never trade to the Eagles again if I was Tennessee.
No.
Like the Nets will never trade to the Celtics again as long as like those franchises are in existence. It's like once you get ripped off that bad, like,
yeah, you mean doing it again. Yeah. Our AFC teams. My second team. Man, this is hard. I think the AFC is harder than the NFC.
Wide open.
Yeah, like
there are about 6 teams. Like,
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Bengals as my number 2.
A lot of people wouldn't have them in the top 2, actually. So,
well, I ain't gonna lie to you. It's between them and the Chiefs for me. There's like 4 or 5 teams you could honestly make an argument for. That's why maybe I'm just going off of the way I feel right now. If you ask me later on, I might change it. But my number 2 is the Bengals. Joe Burrow is finally healthy. You saw it the other day. He had an impressive run where he got hit. He got up and gosh, he was pumped up. Like he just wanted everybody to know that, hey, I'm back.
He's back. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure you was standing up, fist pumping as well. So it's one of those. Yeah. It's one of those games where I think they had already started to find their groove the last game, but this game they're like, okay, y'all watch us, we're here. I think going forward, their defense is starting to find themselves a little bit. Not that they were really like lacking, but they're starting to find a groove. I think beating us, I mean, that's the type of game. I think me and you talked about the other day, Thomas, that that's the type of game that can be a good stepping stone to propel y'all in this year. Not that you needed it, but that's a good motivating game to where you're like, okay, we knocked them off. They're a contender. Hopefully, we'll still be a contender by the end of the year. But it's a game that kind of sets y'all off to where I can see y'all rising now and going a good win streak. So I would have you at number 2. Where you at,
Yeah.
Thomas or whoever?
I
Go
got
ahead.
I got the Chiefs at number 2. I think that I mean, you're about to get a really biased take from me. Just I'll go ahead and tell you,
Didn't
but I'm
expect
taking
that.
the
I
Chiefs.
love it. No, I
Yeah,
love
Yeah.
it.
yeah, no, and yeah, I'm delusional enough to convince myself it's right too. But I'm taking the Chiefs number 2. I mean, I know the Chiefs. It's hard to say that after how bad they looked last night against the Broncos, but
Yeah.
everybody has games here and there. I think, which I think a little bit was exposed with the Chiefs in that game and a couple other games that they pulled out. But it's just I'm not counting out Mahomes, and
Yeah.
they're the defending champs of the. So I'm still giving number 2. They're still a very good team to me. That's not much. I mean, they've spoken for themselves for the last like 4 or 5 years, so I don't have much else to say. Patrick Mahomes might be the best player ever. So
he was also sick as well.
right,
Not before.
flu game.
Yeah. But it didn't end well for him. Hakeem Jase.
Right.
Didn't help they were in super cold weather either.
Yeah.
While y'all were going over that, I was trying to figure out who I was going to put at 1 and who I was going to put at 2. I think I want Thomas. You convinced me. I'm going to go Dolphins at 2, the Chiefs at 1. Dolphins at 2 because I know Rusty hates it so much that they're playing so well. They can score with anybody. They scored 70 points on the Broncos in a football game.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, I mean they're
it literally 2 was not even that good. He just throws it really high and Tyreek runs under it.
I think he's better than I think he's decent.
I don't want to. Sorry, Tua, if you're listening. I do think you're a little bit better than that.
I wish he was.
But yeah, I mean, I would put them at. I mean, the offense is just ridiculous. The defense has the potential to be not as on the same level as offense, but still pretty good. And you're going to need that in the playoffs because it's going to be brutal.
Yeah.
There's 4 or 5 teams with 6 wins right now.
Yeah,
that's not even counting the Bengals and the Bills.
Yeah, that's not counting the Bills, and I know who my 1 is, and you just said who your 1 is, and we all know who Thomas is going to pick 1. So none of us put the Bills in there,
right?
So
yeah.
And then with the Chiefs, like Thomas said, it's Mahomes. They've done it. They've been there, done that. I'm not going to bet against them until somebody can knock them off for good.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you my 1 before we get into the Bengals segment of the show. I know Thomas is looking forward to this.
Those strapping cats, don't you?
Yeah. So I didn't go with the Chiefs. I'm not going to sit here and say all this great stuff about the Chiefs when all year I've been saying I think the receiving core is going to get exposed eventually. And I think when it comes down to it in the playoffs, things tighten up. And sometimes you need guys to make plays. And I do think Mahomes is great. But I think at that point in the year, you're going to need somebody to go out and have a great game from that position. And I don't think they have it. I think they have Travis Kelce, but at that point, I don't know. Him and Taylor Swift, they might be expecting, might be having a marriage coming up. Who knows? Somebody said not long ago that he hopes that that whole Taylor Swift thing ends up getting into the locker room and exposing a lot of things and causing a lot of trouble, and maybe being the start of the fall of the Kansas City Chiefs. So I don't know who said that, but I do think that they're going to miss out on it. I think they might get upset in the first round, depending on who they play and where they're at seeding-wise. And maybe this is just me still being hurt from 2019. But I am going with the Miami Dolphins as my number 1. For me, I think the offense, kind of like you mentioned, Logan, when you have a team like that, I mean, we look at it in basketball a lot of times. When you have like an offense that could just instantly shoot off, like that can go on a run of 20, 30 points, that's how the Dolphins team is. Like they can go on a run in a quarter and score 20, 30 points. It's kind of like Kansas City's offense a few years ago. I think they did it in the playoffs. They were down by 20, 30 and just came back real quick and won the game. I don't remember who they played against that game, but nevertheless, that's the type of offense you have. You have so much firepower, and you don't even have a Chan back yet. You'll have him back. You'll have Jeff Wilson's still there. You'll have Mostert at running back position with those receivers. And the defense just got back Jalen Ramsey yesterday. He had a pick. And you don't even have Xavier Howard. He's going to be coming back. So that's 2 top corners. And Vic Fangio, it's his first year with him, and he's a great defensive coach. So by the end of the year, I think that defense is going to be right. I mean, it depends on matchups and stuff as far as like who goes. And, you could have Miami end up going to Buffalo in the middle of the winter, and that passing game be completely nullified because of the weather. So I don't know if they're going to make it there, but right now they're my top team in the AFC.
I mean, it's a team that nobody's going to mention, and that's understandable. But the Ravens,
yeah,
they're 6-2.
Yeah, they're very impressive too.
And, it's a hard place to play.
Yeah, I go back and forth. Honestly, Ravens, Dolphins, Chiefs, Bills, Bengals are all very good teams. I mean, the Browns haven't been bad even. They
Walker, baby.
Yeah. I mean, if they could get a decent quarterback play, who knows? But the defense
got a few things
incredible.
You got to get the kinks out.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go with the Bengals. That's my number one too. Yeah.
Ooh, shocker. Yeah.
Breaking news.
You may have convinced me to move the Dolphins into number 2. Actually, I forgot about Xavier Howard not playing yet. Because my biggest thing that I was gonna go off of was that, and as crazy as this sounds, is I think the real Bengals team is the only team in the AFC that has not been exposed in any way. I think what we saw the first 3 weeks, 3.5, 4 weeks was not our team. When you limit your playbook, when you don't have 50 to 60% of your plays, that limits your offense an unbelievable amount. I think people don't realize how much we were limited at those. When you take 2 snaps under center the first 4 games, like, you're not using much of your playbook there. I think that put a lot of pressure. Those offensive struggles put a lot of pressure on our defense to be on the field the entire game. And I think they actually have done well. I mean, we've seen our defensive line. Christian McCaffrey was having an MVP season, and he had 55 yards against us.
Yeah,
he did not do. So. Yeah, he did. Yeah, but he did not.
No,
he did not do what he did to everybody else against us. Our D line is solid. Our linebackers. I mean, you saw what Purdy saw what Pratt and Wilson can do.
Yeah.
They both had picks. I mean, they're in coverage. They're amazing. Our DBs are only getting better. We've got a lot of young talent.
What about your safeties?
Offense? Yeah,
you lost by starting safeties last year.
We did. We have 2 or 3 young guys that rotate through, and they've been really impressive. Dax Hill's looking phenomenal. He's looking right up there with where Jesse Bates and Von Bell were. And then we're rotating Battle and Scott and the other safety position, and they've both been solid. So I think we're starting to see these last 2 games what a healthy Bengals team looks like, and I don't think there's really a weakness that you see. Our O-line has been very solid. Our defense has been very solid, and a healthy Joe Burrow with that receiving core that you can't beat. So I'm taking us. I think you look at the Bills. They've been exposed offensively. Their offense is not what people expected it to be, and they seem to have struggles every game, except when they played the Dolphins. The Dolphins let them score 48 points on them. So they're I feel like the Dolphins defense, which that was without Ramsey or Howard, but I think the Dolphins defense is being exposed. The Dolphins offensive line it's okay. I think it could get beaten against some better teams. Chiefs obviously have a huge weakness with their wide receivers. That's going to really slow them down a lot. But yeah, I think the Bengals are the best team.
That's going to be an exciting playoff, like that side. I mean, because you brought in like the Ravens as well. I mean, that's 6 teams that could go. I mean, I don't see one of them that really stands out above the others. And on the NFC side, it's kind of the opposite. You do have like 1 Eagles, 2 Niners. I feel like then I think 3 and 4 almost tied, as you got the Cowboys and Seahawks up there. So it's kind of and you got Detroit that's hovering up there too.
Called that one too.
Yeah, I had them. I think I had them win this division as well.
You might have.
Yeah, I think me and you both did. Crazy though. Yeah, me and you both did. I think Jamar had the Vikings, I believe. So something we want to try to do, and I don't know if you all have been thinking about this, but for me, every time I see somebody that's on like the trade target or whatever that might be leaving, I always think, what would he look like in a 49ers uniform? So what I want to do is maybe I'm going to tell you who I want for us to get. It's just obviously a wish list type thing. I don't know how it's going to work out money-wise or anything like that.
It's all Monopoly money.
Yeah, it's Monopoly money. We'll just use that. And then I'll throw out a few other names who we might want to see go somewhere else and where we would want to see them go to. Then we'll close it out. But for me, my wish list, my number one is Chase Young. He's on the market right now. He's young. He did have some injuries and stuff, and maybe that is putting his value down a little bit to where the Commanders are trying to sell him off. But I also think they're just trying to sell off people regardless because they're ready to. I mean, I don't want to say rebuild because I think they are rebuilding, but they're, I think, really getting ready to throw everything out and start.
They're not ready to commit to a big contract like that at that point. Yeah. I think they're not good enough to do that.
New ownership too, I think, coming in. I think they're already talking about switching the name, considering turning it back to Redskins.
Might as well.
Yeah.
I prefer the football team.
The football team was pretty funny.
I think they should change it every game. I'm not going to change it every year. I say take it up a notch.
Yeah, every game.
Keep it interesting.
At least once a month.
Hang on. Kind of like the draft lottery. I put all of them in a wheel.
Yeah.
And spin it.
Yeah.
And pick
the merchandise sale would be through the roof.
Oh, I bet it would.
Marketing genius right here.
Yeah. I would have Chase Young, though, because I'm really craving that opposite edge for Bosa. I think that 2019, the first few games when we had D Ford healthy, that was the vision that they had for a defensive line. We were killing everybody when it came to that. Guys wasn't, like Rodgers and them, wasn't having any time to throw. And we keep trying to get back to that. We've had some good years as far as pass rush goes, just bringing in like good, for lack of a better way to describe it, like role players to fill in with guys like Bosa. But when we had it early in 2019, that whole D line was stacked, first round picks. You couldn't double anybody. And so that John and Kyle talked about it all off season. That's why they went and got Hargraves, because they looked at last year and they said our defensive line needed to be better. It was the worst part of our defense, which is crazy to say because Bosa won Defensive Player of the Year. So that's why they went and got Hargraves. And I don't know how they can look at that going up until like this point and say that it got much better. I think it may have gotten worse. And it's not because of Hargraves. He's playing great. But it's just offenses have figured out a way to kind of nullify Bosa to an extent and kind of control everybody else. And I think we need that guy on the opposite side, somebody that needs to be good enough to win one-on-ones. And so that way we can mess up the protection a little bit. Right now we got Drake Jackson, who 2-year guy to USC. We was hoping he'd blossom into something better. Hasn't really got there. Farrell, that played for the Falcons for a while, I think. Played at Clemson in college. He's our starter, actually, just because he's a little bit better on the run. He ain't much. We had Randy Gregory we traded for, and he's actually played decent, but he's still not that dominant guy. He only comes in on pass rushing situations. So I think John and them, in this world where this actually would happen, is looking at guys right now on the market that's going to improve that D-line, because that's what they believe in. They believe in building the D-line first, and everything else follows after. So that's my wish for a trade target, I guess. Who you have, Thomas?
Yeah, I want the player that I wanted in the offseason, and that's Hayden Hurst, who we let go, who plays for the Panthers.
Yeah.
I want us to get him back. I think
we could probably work something out.
Yeah,
no,
maybe
we
will.
could use the stud wide receiver.
I don't know if I got that far, but
You got 3 of them.
we got a few more.
What about Higgins?
Trenton Irwin is really good, and Andre Yosevich is going to be really good. Young guys. Charlie Jones is actually going to be phenomenal. He got hurt returning punts earlier in the year, but we got plenty of wide receivers. But anyway, I think that's just another layer. Burrow loved Hurst. He loved Uzama. A good tight end that we can depend on is huge for us, and especially Hurst and a little bit with Uzama. It was like with Irv Smith, it's like he catches it sometimes, and then he's down, and like there's no like yards after the catch. There's no like making plays. Hurst was hurdling people. Uzama was breaking long runs sometimes. Like I think it just added a whole other layer. Burrow loves the check down to his tight end, and we don't have that right now. We would have beat you guys by a lot more yesterday if we had a different tight end, I think.
Yeah,
but
he helped us out a little bit.
Yeah, so I would love for us to get Hurst back. Great locker room guy too. Him and Burrow were friends, and everybody loved him. And I think he's a hard worker and great teammate and really good tight end. I loved Hurst. I'd like to have him back.
Tyler Boyd for Hurst, straight up.
I don't want Boyd. I want Higgins.
Yeah, we're not giving up any of those top 3s.
Yeah.
We'll give you like a 4th rounder.
No, I mean, how about this? Higgins for Hurst, Chin, and a 3rd.
No.
You're not going to pay Higgins.
That's not up to me.
You're not going to pay
Higgins.
We'll
pay Higgins.
No
I think we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
No chance.
Yeah. Who are you trading for, Logan?
Chin would be interesting.
I'm trying
to
get Higgins. I mean, we need a receiver bad. Bryce has got to have somebody to throw to. DJ Chark sucks. He's not been what he was supposed to be. He can't stretch the field. Poor Adam Thielen. He's 37 years old and giving it all he has.
Best 37-year-old receiver out there.
He is. Yeah, he's doing well.
He's been awesome, man. I mean, it's crazy. And I told y'all whenever we signed him, I said that's gonna be huge. He's just sure hands. He can get open in a phone booth even at this age.
Yeah.
So we gotta get a receiver, or we could just sell the farm. I don't care. We're 1-6. Either trade for somebody and make a run, or just start over.
Yeah.
Trade Burns. We got to do something with Chin because we're not going to pay him. We never even play him. He played like 20 snaps 2 weeks ago. The entire game. Ideally, I would like to have Higgins, but since Thomas won't budge, I would settle for Judy. I would see that name floating around a lot, but after what they did the other day, that's probably not going to happen either. So I'm probably just going to trade Chin off and shop around, see if anybody wants Burns or Brown, see what we can get for those guys. If somebody came with, it's another one.
Yeah.
Just didn't work out. Can't stay healthy. All the potential in the world. My goodness, he is a physical specimen.
Yeah.
But he can't stay on the field. And there was a couple weeks ago he didn't even play. Didn't play a single snap. After he had like 9 catches the week before, I don't know if just coaching staff just not a TMJ guy or what, but but if somebody comes asking, but willing to give up 2 firsts and a second like the Rams did last year for Burns, it'd be crazy not to this time.
Yeah.
Gosh, I forgot that was
last time.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I know it's hard to find a guy like that, but
I would take him.
Sold the farm.
That gives you 3 pretty good chances.
Yeah, sold the farm. Bryce, so we got to do something now.
Yeah. There's another guy you just mentioned that.
Brown?
Oh, no. What I was going to say is, do y'all still have Brady as your OC?
No.
Well, you got rid of him last year, didn't you?
No, he got fired in Rule's second year. He was Rule's scapegoat the first time.
I don't know why. Because I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, he coached Marshall.
No, he's a quarterback coach for Buffalo.
Okay.
He took what's his name? Shula's job.
Yeah.
Whenever Dayball left.
I was just sitting there thinking, I was like, man, why haven't they played Marshall? Man, he coached him in college. Is what
Like
I was saying.
he had 9 receptions a couple weeks ago, and then literally the week after that, he did not play a single snap.
What if he wanted to trade? And
Well, it came out a couple weeks ago that they were going to allow him to seek a trade, but would welcome him back if he couldn't find anything. So it's very nice of them.
Yeah.
What a stand-up organization.
Jerry Jeudy would have been my second choice. I thought that route running wise, he's great at that part
Such a
of
good
it.
route runner.
Yeah, and with him and Kyle's offense, that's what Kyle loves, is a good route runner. So I think that could be a target, but he's still pretty happy with the receivers we got. So I don't know. We'll wait and see.
What would you give up for him?
I would not give up a first. And I know that's what they mentioned.
Really?
Yeah, they mentioned doing that, being a first.
See, that's dumb.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're always going to say stuff like that because you want to set the price high.
I mean, you start high, right?
Yeah. But
realistically, like third?
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't really turned into. I mean, he's been a good receiver, but he hasn't been like, all pro or anything. I mean, he hasn't had a huge leap. He wasn't like Jamar Chase when he was in his first year or whatever. But I mean, I would probably trade a third or something like that for him. I would also like to have Burns. To be completely honest with you,
2 firsts and a second. He's yours.
Well, we don't have any firsts to give up, so you might just have to take the second.
I'm hanging up the phone on you
Yeah.
then.
So some of the names we can throw out here and where we might want to see them at. I mean, we already mentioned Jeudy and Burns, and well, I don't think Hurst was on my list, but
I'm trying to get rid of the whole team. So
yeah,
no Panthers roster for me.
Well, receiver wise, another name that's out there from the same team as Cortland Sutton. So he's another guy. I don't know if they're going to trade both of them off.
I don't think they'll trade either of them.
They might not.
I think Sunday gave them some kind of false hope.
I wonder with him if they do trade him off where he might go. I don't know. I think he's a guy that can take the top off the defense. He can get deep. I could see him going like New England. They just lost Kendrick Bourne today, torn ACL.
Yeah,
I think they could go he could go there or maybe even Baltimore, but I'm not sure if Baltimore's ready to give up a whole lot for another guy. So those are my top two.
I would like to see him in Kansas City. I would like to see Kansas City make a run for receivers, so it'll shut you up about the receiving core.
I wouldn't, because I don't want him to be good.
I know me either.
Yeah.
I don't hate them like you. I can't hate them like you guys do. They've never done anything to me.
Yeah. You hate the Broncos like that, though.
I do hate the Broncos like that.
Yeah. That's the feeling I have with the Chiefs after the Super Bowl loss.
Listen, I get it. It's fine.
A trade I would really like to see, more than almost any other trade, is I want to see the Lions add some offensive weapons, wide receiver particularly, because I'm really high on the Lions. I really like that team. I really like their defense, and Jared Goff has been amazing.
Oh yeah,
it's so weird.
His QBR, I mean, he's done great. And who's he throwing to? Like Amon-Ra St. Brown he's good.
Him and Laporta,
he's definitely good. Yeah, and then you got Laporta, which I mean, he's a solid tight end, but he's throwing to almost nobody, and he's putting up great numbers. So are they tied for the second best record in the NFC? I think they're 5-2.
5-2.
One of them, yeah.
Yeah, I love the Lions. I think give them a offense, a weapon or two. I think they could go really far. I love Dane Campbell. So that's probably my number one.
Use Gibbs a little bit too.
Yeah. He's a phenomenal player, and they laid him around like 5 times the first 3 weeks.
Very strange.
But I would love to see them get a receiver.
Yeah. I'm not going to bring up fantasy teams again, but I'm playing against him, and it's coming down to the wire. So
yeah, he played good tonight. Who's the second receiver you mentioned?
What's his name? Laporta?
Oh no, I thought you mentioned one before that. I didn't hear.
For the Lions?
Well, they got Jameson Williams, who just came back from his suspension.
That's right.
But yeah, Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I thought that I talked over you. I thought you had mentioned another one. I was going to say they used to have Marvin Jones.
Right.
They don't have him anymore. So I didn't know if you mentioned him.
I would love to see them get a receiver. I would love to see them get Judy Sutton, TMJ. I'd really love to see him get Devontae Adams. I'd like to see Devontae Adams get set free from the Raiders since he went there to be with his friend, and then they traded his friend.
Nope.
They said 0% of that happening. That's what the Raiders said.
I saw that today.
Yeah.
I would love to see him somewhere else. I'd love to see him in Detroit. I just want to see a wide receiver in Detroit.
I think
I want to see them maximize.
Yeah. Sutton would be a good one for them because he's. I think that offense is a big play action offense, and he's a guy that has that deep shot.
Yeah.
Speaking of receivers, another guy that's on the market right now is Hunter Renfrow. Good guy, good possession receiver. I think he led the league in receptions or something like that for a while. Last year, not this year.
The year before last.
2 years ago.
Okay, 2 years ago. So, for him, I like to see him go to a more pass-happy offense, but maybe Buffalo. I don't want to say necessarily pass-happy, but I think that'd be a good safety blanket for Josh Allen, kind of like how Cole Beasley was.
I really like that.
Yeah, I think that's where I would have him going.
Yeah,
that's a good call. You got Diggs and Gabe Davis that are, they're so deadly downfield to have somebody underneath, if those two aren't open to drop it off to. Yeah, I actually really like that a lot. I don't want it to happen, but I think it's a good call.
Yeah. Another one that's on here, Ryan Tannehill. Oh, that was interesting.
A lot of teams lost quarterbacks last week.
They did. Yep. They did. And with the report right now that's out for the Vikings, I was going to say the Vikings, but they're talking to the Saints about getting Jameis Winston. So that would be interesting. I think that's
a complete opposite of what they have.
Yeah, it is.
We're talking about Kirk Cousins, who's just gonna make the easy right throw every time, not turn it over, be boring, and then you got
wonderful.
It'd be interesting.
I would love what they're doing. Happen.
What they're doing to Tom Harkin, they might as well try to go in the complete opposite direction.
Well,
whenever Jefferson comes back, can you imagine Jameis throwing to Jefferson just?
He'll either get 300 yards a game or he'll have 4 interceptions a game.
Yeah. What about the Red Rocket? The Red Rocket could be available too.
Yeah, he could be. He's not though that I think that I would put in a lot of assets into getting.
It's been stupid.
I think Winston. We go ahead.
Do you think that's what the Vikings are going for at this point? Do you think they're trying to win? Do you think they're trying to trade for a replacement long term for Cousins? Or do you think they're planning on a short term until Cousins comes back? Do you think they're sticking with Cousins?
I think they're sticking with Cousins for now. I think that Winston is just a perfect and I know we're talking about how he isn't a good fit because it's Kirk Cousins the way he plays, but he's actually
I'm not saying it's
I think he's a perfect fit for what O'Connell wants to do. He loves passing the ball. And, Jameis Winston,
even though he passing the ball.
Yeah, he loves passing the ball. So
throw it to anybody. Either team.
Yeah. I think he wants
I don't think it's a bad fit. Yeah. I think it's the complete opposite of what they have right now.
And I think that this is a short-term fix for him. Tannehill, I don't know. That one's interesting to me where he could end up. You look out there, maybe Jets. And I'm not saying because I think that I know we talked about getting into some Zach Wilson stuff. I'm not saying to go there to start over Zach Wilson, but you definitely don't want Zach Wilson to get hurt and be stuck in a bad situation because they're playing pretty good right now. Send him over there. Why not? That gives you just if for some reason Aaron Rodgers, his dolphin therapy or whatever he's doing doesn't work, even though it looks like it is working right now. He don't come back. Zach Wilson gets hurt, you don't want this season to be a loss because you don't have a quarterback. I think Tannehill he'd be successful with that defense. That's where I would go with him.
Yeah, what was it 3 years ago? Tannehill was in MVP conversation.
Oh yeah, he was having. I might have been. Was it 3? I don't know.
Probably
If it's 3.
a little bit longer than that, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. He had one good year.
That seems pretty recent,
yeah. But I mean, I don't think that's a bad fit.
I think it got lost in the shuffle this weekend. I don't even think we talked about Levis. Did that get brought up this weekend?
Awesome.
In the group chat?
I don't think we talked about him at all. Yeah.
That was nuts.
Yeah, I watched that game because I was pulling for the Falcons for my parlay, and he was amazing.
Yeah.
Thank God I dropped DeAndre Hopkins last week, too, who had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I think it's like his first 3 of the year, probably.
Yeah.
Well, I mean.
Yeah, Levis looked incredible.
Yeah.
Honestly, for his first ever game, he looked really, really good.
Did Willis play any?
I don't think so.
He came out. So I think they put him out there for a play or two. Levis was hurt, and the crowd booed him, which was pretty sad. Yeah,
wow.
because after the game, all of the Titans players almost scolded the fans, like, we support him. He's worked really hard.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, and I could be wrong on this, but I thought that's what I saw.
I'm glad you did bring up that game because they actually were wearing the throwback Oiler uniforms.
Yeah, I should never have bet against those uniforms.
No, you should not. But they are kind of relative to what I sent in the group earlier. I don't know if y'all saw that, but the NFL actually contacted Houston because their college uniforms that they put out, I think it was last week or a few weeks ago, has like the same color scheme. And they contacted Houston and told them to stop wearing them or not to wear them. So if you have your phone close to you, you could probably go to the group chat, and it's on up through there. And the uniforms are sick. Like, I love them. I'm personally on the whole train of let them wear it. Like, I think that it's ridiculous. Here it is again. I love it. I think that they should wear them every game, to be completely honest with you.
Well, this from today?
Yeah.
Those are very cool, but they are very Oilers.
They're very, I mean, there's a few tweaks to it. I mean, the helmet is, I could spread
so
out
ridiculous.
more with the Oilers, but I don't know. I don't like the NFL as far as the high ups go, and I don't like the NCAA high ups, so I'm against them anytime.
Yeah, I just really hate the idea of it. Like the NFL, they cannot be hurting for money that bad, and it cannot be hurting the NFL image at all to have a college team with a similar uniform. I don't understand.
Stupid.
I know. Yeah. It's like the NFL is purposely trying to make everybody hate them as much as possible.
Yeah, I don't get it. Just a few names before we get off here. I want to run through real quick. Dalvin Cook, Justin Simmons from the Broncos, and also Daniel Hunter from the Vikings. Those are 3 that's also thrown out there. It'll be the last 3 I throw out there. I don't think Daniel Hunter's going anywhere. He's having a career year. I think he was tied with TJ Watt with sacks or pass rush. I can't remember what it was, but he was right up there with TJ Watt, having a great year. And as far as Dalvin Cook goes, that's kind of a weird situation with him going to New York and that being a match made in heaven at the beginning, and now it's not. I think his values actually it's fell because of that. And so I have him. I could see him probably going to the Bills because he had talked about going there before. They might try to get him for pretty cheap. And Justin Simmons, the Broncos, he's a Pro Bowl type safety. If they do, in fact, get rid of him, I can see him going to a contender. Maybe you guys even, Thomas, maybe he would be the safety across from, was it Dax, you said?
Dax Hill, yeah.
Yeah, Dax Hill. So, I mean, I don't know what you had to give up for him is the only thing, and I think that's the question mark. But I think a lot of people that our Contenders would be wanting to get him.
Yeah, one thing I'll say, I think we actually have draft picks. We haven't traded any of our draft picks to get any of these talented players that we have. So I think that puts us in a pretty fortunate situation.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these teams are valuing draft picks. We just don't trade our draft picks because like Geno Atkins came in like the 4th or 5th round, and T. Higgins was 2nd round. Like we really value those late draft picks. I think let's see. I think Jesse Bates was later. I don't know. I can't remember, but we've done really well in later rounds.
Well, I mean, all very good players have came from the 5th round, so I'm all on board with trading all of our 2nd and 3rd rounders and just getting 5th rounders.
We don't have any players. Can't relate.
That's all right. I mean, I thought it was a weird twist of fate for you, to be totally honest with you, given the fact that UNC lost its 2nd straight game.
I told you they were going to.
Yeah, but Carolina won their first. So, or not first, but won one of their 2 wins. I think.
They're all losers.
Yeah.
So it was their first.
Was it their first win?
Yes, we are 1-6.
At that point, and I've been in that boat before. Are you winning or are you losing? Because at that point, you're racing to be the first pick.
Well,
no, we're not.
Y'all ain't. I guess. So,
we're
you're
losing.
Right. You're not. Yeah, you're losing either way. That makes it a little bit worse, I guess.
It makes it a lot worse,
actually.
Yeah. Well, guys,
I appreciate you trying to spin that, though.
Yeah, I didn't think about it.
No Marvin Harrison Jr. at the end of this tunnel.
No. Yeah, or Caleb Williams. If you did have the first pick, would you abandon Bryce Young that quick and get Caleb?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
I'll take Drake.
They would.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just kidding. No,
I actually do want to say before we get off here, since that got brought up, I am almost convinced if I was a GM, I'm taking Drake first.
I've been saying it for 2 years.
Because I really do think that he's not that much worse than Caleb, but I don't like all the baggage that comes with Caleb. Like, he's wanting a stake in the franchise. He's already saying, I might not want to go. I might want to go if it's not a team that I like. I don't know. I don't like all that. I don't like noise like that. You bring in too much noise. Fair. And Drake's a fine quarterback. I think he might be better NFL ready quarterback than Caleb Williams. And he's quiet. I mean, as far as I can tell, he's quiet. He ain't gonna bring in all these extra cameras and stuff like that. I guarantee you that if the Bears picked Drake number 1 and Caleb Williams went to the Broncos number 2, I guarantee you there's going to be a lot more media attention and cameras in that locker room and distraction for the Broncos or whoever's at number 2 than it would be with Drake.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that was actually going to be one of our buy or sells before I changed it, but yeah, I'm out on Caleb right now at number 1.
I would like. I know we want to get off here, but just real quick, at what point do the Bears trade Justin Fields?
As soon as somebody makes him an offer.
It had to be a really good one.
Like obviously not tomorrow, but
yeah, he'll be going.
Are they trading him? Are they trading him? Are they trading him before they draft Caleb Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say they keep him until the off season. And because there's no way they're going to have him and Caleb together.
Right.
I don't see that happening. And I think Jamar had mentioned maybe they just trade back, get more picks, and then roll with the Fields. I don't see them doing that either.
That's a very weird take.
Well, I mean, it depends on what you get for him, I guess.
Why does it matter? You're going to end up with 1 and 2.
If you have the first 2 picks, I mean, let's say I don't know. You can turn some combination of Fields, number 1 and number 2. I mean, think about what the number 1 and number 2 picks have, like, what they've gone for at the draft these last few years. Yeah. Like, people have given up, like, 2 and 3 first-round picks for them. So, I mean, trading each of those for 2 or 3 first-round picks, like, you're drafting a whole new first-round team, like, it'd be a pretty good start. But
I mean, it's not just picks. I mean, they got DJ Moore.
Fields is still your quarterback.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what you want.
I agree. I'm not saying that's what I would do, but
your point stands. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think that's going to kind of close it out for us. Rusty didn't end up getting to make it, so maybe next time. For those of you that haven't noticed yet, I mentioned at the beginning, Jamar didn't make it tonight. He had a long trip back yesterday, so it was going to be pretty rough on him to try to turn around and try to do it tonight with this episode. But we are going to have our weekly episode come Thursday evening. I try to preview this week's slate of high school football and college. And we'll have another guest maybe next week or the week after. Don't know yet who it's going to be. But like I said, we'll try to get to that Thursday. And we also got our country music's top 5 for this week. I think Jamar wanted to do a Jamar's throwback song of the week. So we'll have that for Thursday as well. So guys, thank you for coming on. And until next time.
Deuces.